Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and wow, we got I believe an absolutely awesome show coming your way today. We're going to talk about mental health and emotional self care for women, primarily for women today. But I know that we all need to have self help for ourselves in order to maintain the balance and in order to stay focused on whatever goals that we might have. So I tell you what, great show coming your way, but I want to get the radio and television portion of it locked in together. So let's do it, Todd.
It's Your Life is sponsored by James J.C. Cooley.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. James is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the James Cooley Foundation. James is here to equip you to strive for greatness and to overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, James Cooley.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, and I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and we got an absolutely magnificent show coming your way today. We're going to talk about something that I believe is so dear and so near to all of us. We're going to talk about mental and emotional self-care. Primarily, today's conversation is for women, but I believe it's for everybody. And everybody need to have what I call take care of themselves, and just be able to focus so that you have the right mindset and you can move forward and do things that you've been planning on doing. But I can't even start the show without talking to my executive producer and co-host, Dr. Michelle Cooley. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great, actually. And I'm really excited about the show today because we have two amazing women who will be discussing this topic, mental, emotional health, self-care for women. And yes, mental health and emotional self-care is for everybody. But this show is going to specify and really kind of just focus on self-care, mental, emotional health care for women only. And I'm just really excited. We have a returning guest on our show and also a new guest. So they're going to kind of touch on certain topics, regarding this specific title. So I'm excited.
I'm excited. And regardless of whatever platform that you're watching or listening to the show on, if you're watching on E360 television, Transverse TV, if you're listening to it on the radio, all you have to do is dial 1-866-577-2473, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and over 35 other live streaming platforms. Join the conversation. Just go to the comments and ask any question that you might have. Michelle, let's get this started. Why don't you introduce the title of the show, the purpose of the show, and introduce the two absolutely magnificent guests?
Oh, most definitely. So again, the title of today's show is Mental and Emotional Self-Care for Women. And we're going to have a conversation with licensed mental health clinician and owner of West Florida Counseling Services, LLC, Dr. Mary Archibald. We're also going to have a conversation with Regional Director, doctoral student, and advanced grief counseling specialist, Alicia Landrum. We're going to really talk about, the importance of self-care, learn what is compassion fatigue and the issues regarding mental wellness, and discuss the self-care bootcamp. So let's talk a little bit and go a little summary about the guest today. So Dr. Mary Archibald. Wow, where to start? She's a licensed mental health clinician in the state of Florida and owner of West Florida Counseling Services, LLC, a faith-based private practice offering services in various theoretical orientations and specializations. Dr. Archibald's published dissertation considers technology, time spent, conflict style, and communication styles as predictors in relationship satisfaction. Again, she's a licensed clinical supervisor of the state of Florida. She's a certified advanced grief counseling specialist, certified divorce mediator, and faculty instructor for conflict resolution training, and many, many more. Wow. So, and also, most important, she's a veteran of the United States Navy. Alicia Landrum, she is a regional director for First Service Residential, a property management company in Florida. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in general psychology and a Master of Science degree in clinical mental health counseling, both from Capella University. She holds an advanced grief counseling specialization where she helps clients identify and process chronic, prolonged, and complicated grief with cognitive behavior therapy and trauma treatment. She's a wife, mother, pastor, and she is many more. So please welcome to our show, Dr. Mary Archibald and Alicia Landry.
How you? This is so exciting to have you, both of you all on the show today, because I believe that our topic that we're going to talk about is so important. It's so important to everyone, and to be able to understand that you have to have a mental, emotional self care process or in place, or some type of program. It's so important for our viewers and our listeners to get a better understanding. So I want to start off with you, Dr. Mary. You've been on the show before. I've been knowing you for over 35 years, I mean, and et cetera. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit more about what attracted you to the mental health and the wellness field, and becoming a licensed mental health clinical coach, psychology, whatever?
Okay. Thank you, James, again. Thank you, Michelle, for the introduction. I am drawn to this field first and foremost because I am a woman, and I've been a woman for all my life, dealing with my own mental, emotional, and psychological issues and needs. And growing up in a household where back in the 60s, mental health was not a subject that was easily talked about or dealt with in our home. So as I grew older, I really became very intrigued and inspired of helping individuals with their mental, emotional, and physical health. And that's where I've landed in this world today, just on this journey of helping people deal with the mental, the emotional, and the psychological effects of everyday life.
Wow. So let's jump directly to Alicia. Alicia, can you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about you, where you grew up, what drove you to doing all the great things that you're doing today?
Well, I'm Pensacola born and raised, and I think for me, it's been the journey from a clinical perspective. We talk about adverse childhood experiences. So some of the things that happened in my childhood gave me a passion to want to do life better, but also help others do life better. And I just really, from I think middle school, I wanted to study psychology. I already had my mind made up, and then I wanted to be a counselor. And because of those childhood experiences, it gave me not only the passion, but the anointing to help other people, because I know what it felt and looked like to pursue mental wellness.
So Alicia, sticking with you, what inspired you to want to be mental health, especially when it comes to the field of grief counseling? That's a tough one right there for me.
Well, a lot of times because of exposure, we always thought that grief was just about death. And there's so many different aspects to grief, because you can grieve the loss of a job. Many of us saw grief during the pandemic. We grieve our limitations or not being able to do certain things. And so becoming more aware of what grief felt like, even for me, as I said, as a child, I grieved wanting a better family. And so I had that experience of, understanding that it wasn't always about somebody dying. So it gave me a desire to study the skill set of helping people process their grief in a healthy way. And I also became passionate about trying to help people understand there was a difference between mental illness and mental wellness, because you can take those preventatives that make those life adjustments easier when they do occur unexpectedly.
Wow. Dr. Mary, how has being a part of this career field changed your life and brought you a different perspective on how important it is?
It has really, really helped me, James, to walk into my calling. This is my calling. This is my assignment. This is what I was placed here on this earth to do. I know what I'm doing, and I take great pleasure in doing it. I love working with people, individuals, couples, families, holistically, to find those barriers or those things that have been preventing them from living healthy and well lives.
So absolutely. And dealing with this and meeting these people, what are some of the most important factors that you get out of this? Because we all want to help people out and we all want to bring joy to
Right.
others.
Well, James, first we've got to get past the stigma. We have to get past the stigma. And unfortunately, in the African American community, we have not been advocates of mental wellness. So we've got to get past that stigma. And with us also being ministers, working with the church, we also have to integrate both spirituality as well as mental wellness so that everybody can learn and glean and grow from what we're learning about what our mental wellness really is.
That's so important. And you're right about the stigma, especially I'm just being real from an African American perspective. A lot of time we feel that we don't need any help, that we know everything. We have to get past that. And we have to understand that we have to go in with open mind and be ready to hold our hand out and accept the things that's going to come to. We're going to take a station break.
Okay.
Take a station break, but we're going to come back and we're going to continue this great conversation with Dr. Mary and Alicia. It's Your Life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley. We'll see you after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your...
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
Hello.
The Answer San Diego, streaming now on iHeart.com and Odyssey.com.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. Dr. James Cooley is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation. Dr. Cooley is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, Dr. James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, and we got these two absolutely fantastic guests that's really getting ready to educate us and already educating us already, because we talked a little bit about stigma, and I think that's something that we all must overcome. And I am so excited to hear this segment, because I know that they're getting ready to bring it. So if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is go 1-866-577-2473 or go to whichever platform you're watching this on. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you, we'll get you an answer.
Thank you. Dr. Mary, Alicia, self-care, that word has been thrown around so many times. We read about it, we hear about it. They're like self-care, make sure you have your me time, pamper yourself, massage, nails done. That's the external self-care. But I do believe there is an emotional and mental self-care that women need to take seriously. So can you kind of go and just summarize really what is mental and emotional self-care and what is not, the myths surrounding that? Let's start with you, Dr. Mary.
Okay, so first I just want to preface that, yes, we have really done the term self-care and injustice in the way we have defined it, or even in our understanding. And this is also tied in with the myths associated with what self-care is. This is inclusive of the stigmas of what self-care is. And we've painted this erroneous picture that self-care is getting your nails done, getting your hair done, taking a bubble bath, when in and of itself, those things are good, but that is not self-care. Self-care is caring for yourself in totality, body, soul, and spirit. It's those thoughts that you have at the end of the day. If you can sit quietly by yourself and just breathe and take in the things of the day that have stressed you, identifying, doing body scales, knowing where you feel it in your body. Where are these symptoms coming from? What's sparking this negative energy? It's sometimes just pulling back, closing down social media, getting away from family. Self-care is for you. You have to do those things. If it's mental health counseling, speaking to a therapist one-on-one, connecting with a girlfriend, getting you an accountability partner, someone who will look at you and say, hey girl, your slip hanging, helping you to get back on track. If they notice that you're out of character or you're experiencing some symptoms that don't normally look like you. Like I said, it's encompassing both body, soul, and spirit. So we have to take care of the physical. We have to make sure that we're exercising. We're doing the things that the body needs physically. And this also encompasses our nutrition. What are we putting into the body? We've all heard that expression, you are what you eat. Absolutely. And you are what you eat. So if you're eating nutritious things or nourishments that is replenishing, it's also good for your psychological as well, because it's building up the brain. We need to make sure that we're eating holistic foods. And we need to make sure that we're also tapping into that spiritual component of mental wellness, because all of the research is pointing back to the fact that when people are spiritually whole, they heal better when they have something to hope for or something to believe in.
Oh, most definitely. Alicia, so, mental and emotional self-care for women, we're all different, and different things, we have different triggers, right? Every woman is different. Every person is different. So why is it important not to ignore those triggers? And especially how us women, we respond to those triggers. And I guess my question is, if you're responding in an overwhelming and negative way that harms you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, how does a woman figure out, okay, these are my triggers. How can I best address it? Self-care for Mary, what she does may not work for me. I'm an individual, I'm unique. So how do we make sure that we're not copying, but we can get ideas, but not copying and emulating someone else's self-care for themselves?
I love that, Dr. Michelle, because it goes back to what you just said. It's not going to be the same for Dr. Mary as it is for Dr. Michelle, because you're so individualized. And so one of the things you said a minute ago is what self-care is not. What self-care is not is what someone else needs. Mm-hmm. It's what I need. It is the love and respect and the care that I need to contribute to myself. And from a clinical perspective, we introduced the 3-tiered model, in that trying to get used to those triggers and learning about yourself, you need to be doing 3 things. And that is self-check-ins, self-talk, and you need to self-journal. And there's so many different ways to do that. For one person, it might not be journaling, writing. It might be that verbal conversation with a friend, at the end of every work day. It could be how am I feeling? How am I breathing? And then the checking in to sit with yourself, sitting with our own emotions is what it takes to find out, how am I feeling when I go into an environment that overwhelms me? Mm-hmm. What does my breathing turn into a pant? When I'm dealing with a lot of stress at work, is my face breaking out? Am I having a psychosomatic symptom that's surfacing? And then the self-talk is about, how am I speaking to me about me? What am I saying to myself? And self-care is even that, is that I'm telling myself that I can make it, I can do it. Mm-hmm. Or am I telling myself, well, life is over, everything sucks? And so getting the 3-tiered model as a part of our lives, self-check-in, self-talk, self-journaling, that's how we get used to our triggers. That's how we start to identify, how am I feeling? And that's what's really going to help us to individualize our self-care and make it so unique to our own lives.
Wow, most definitely. So, as women are, whether, we're mothers, we're wives, we're girlfriends, whatever, women take on a lot of roles, and especially if you're a full-time working woman. So I noticed that, I read up on this topic, is that, we are all so very busy. We already planning in our mind for the next day, Then on the weekend, it's chores, it's shopping, it's errands, it's sports, it's whatever you whatever you have to take care of. Why is it a detriment to a woman's emotional, spiritual, and mental health, where she's on autopilot and doesn't take care of herself and is always being there for somebody else? Now, don't get me wrong. We have a responsibility to be the best wife, such a mother that God has given us to be. But why is it important to also take a step back and find that time to take care of ourselves? I'm going to give this to you, Dr. Mary.
I'm glad you did, Michelle, because who told us that? Where do we get that from? Mm-hmm. Where do we get this superwoman image of Black women, white women, any women, period, that we have to be well at all things? I think it's a service for us to all feel or to believe that we are these superheroes or these super women that is going to be super in all areas. It contributes to mental illness when we do put ourselves in these positions to have these unrealistic expectations that I'm supposed to be all these things. And according to cognitive behavior therapy, all behavior is learned behavior. We learn that from our moms. We emulate those people in society. We look at movies, we look at Desperate Housewives and think, oh, that's the life that I'm supposed to have, entrepreneurship, motherhood, and all of these things, and I'm supposed to look good while doing it. Mm-hmm. When at the end of the day, that is a myth.
Yes, it is a myth. I can give you one of my self-care things I do. I like to just go to a mall and just look around and go shopping. That makes me happy. Mm-hmm. I may not buy anything. You see Dr. James shaking his head, but that's self-care to me. Just looking around, doing things, and just just enjoying my own company. And that's something I want to talk about on the next segment. So I'm going to pass this back to Dr. James here.
Wow, this is so exciting, just being on the sideline and just listening to this. And I think I'm probably going to remain like that for a little bit and then jump out again for some questions. But right now we got to take a station break, and I can't wait to get back to pick this up. And if you want to be part of this great conversation, just all you do is pick up the phone, 1-866-577-2473, or go to whichever platform you're watching it on and just ask any question that you might have. I promise you, we'll get you an answer. It's your life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley. We'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Wow. I was just sitting back, just listening to these magnificent ladies sit back and talk about self-care and some of the aspects that that makes them and their practices on what they do to help bring self-care to them. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna listen to some more of this because this is fascinating. And gentlemen out there, you can learn something from this, But before we go into the segment, I would be remiss if I did not mention my latest book, A Black Man Point of View, Mind, Body, and Soul. It was released as number one bestseller. We are doing some things, and what this book talks about is it talks about the mindset of a Black man in many cases because of what we had to endure through over 400 years colonizations and slavery, and that we was taken away from our country and sent to other countries to build all those things. And sometimes we kind of pack things in our mind when we don't want to forgive. This book is a roadmap to forgiveness. It's a roadmap to teach others how to forgive and impacts that could have on somebody's mindset. But it's all about love, not hate. So it's for everybody. It's for everybody. And women out there, if you ever want to know how your man think, you might want to get a copy of this book. But viewers out there, you can jump in and be part of this conversation, because I'm going to sit back and continue to listen. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Michelle Cooley.
Thank you, James. So I was ending the previous segment, talking about, just, basic self-care, doing things that make you happy. What is the most important thing? And just a comment on this. I'm going to turn this over to Alicia. Is it important for a woman to still keep her identity and do what makes her happy as far as self-care is concerned? Because some of the things that, someone else may like to do, it may not be my thing, but why is it important not to lose yourself, even though, you're getting older, you change, you're married, girlfriend, but, whatever it is, how important is it not to lose who you are when it comes to self-care and the uniqueness about who you are, and not try to change who you are to be what somebody else wants you to be? Alicia, can you address that?
Michelle, before Alicia addresses that, I'm going to let her get her thoughts together, because that's a rather loaded question. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I want to go back and touch bases on is something that you said.
Okay.
You said going to the mall and just looking around makes you happy. So I wanted to point out that happiness is an emotion. Mm-hmm. And happiness comes from within. Mm-hmm. So often we look for happiness to come from without, but we now know that mental happiness is only something that you can give you. Mm-hmm. And my husband always says, people are about as happy as they want to be. And I agree with him. People are about as happy as they want to be if they're looking for other people to make them happy. But you brought up that thought in me, Dr. Michelle, when you said, it makes me feel happy, where you're doing that thing. You found your thing, you found the thing that sparks life in you to help you to run just a little bit longer and a little bit faster and a little bit further. Because what you're doing, you do this every day, and you're speaking with people from all walks, all genres of life, all different professionals. But then there's this part of Michelle that has to be happy. And that's your self-care, making sure that you're doing the things that make you happy.
Thank you, Dr. Mary.
For everyone, it's the totality of the woman that we're speaking to. As you said, we have professional roles, we have life roles. And I think it also, I would like to incorporate there, is that we can't believe that your self-care, the shopping, might not work for the next person who doesn't have a budget for that. So we have to tailor our self-care based on where we are in life, what works for us. I can remember a season in my life where when I would get off work, I would sit in front of the house for 20 minutes, just in the car. And Dr. Mary's witness to that, just looking at the house, because I wasn't ready to change hats yet. And that was therapeutic for me to make that adjustment before going from coworker to mom wife, before going from pastor to mom wife. So it's like getting what works for you, and understanding that what we're also trying to do is create a life that we don't need a vacation from, because we think that self-care is going to some other place or some euphoria that you can envision that self-care could be 5 minutes of deep breathing, which costs us absolutely nothing. And so I love the question, how important it is to individualize it, because you can get it. One of the things that we ask clients all the time is, when they're going through different things, is, are you able to heal in the environment that you're in? And here's what's important about self-care is, a lot of times when people are seeking mental wellness, we can't promise them that when they go home, the situation is over.
Right.
And so you have to learn how to get the self-care that you need, even when there hasn't been a change to the issue, even when there hasn't been a change to the budget, even when there hasn't been a change to how you feel about yourself.
Wow. I totally agree with that because, it'd be great if this world was beautiful and everyone was happy and agreeable and joyful, basically. But the reality, it is not. So why? Okay. So I guess the question I want to ask is why, going on vacation, going to a spa, to me, I think that's a temporary fix.
It is.
Because you're still going back into the environment. You're still working with the same people who may stress you out.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that self-care is, yes, individualized. What do I need to change in me to get my mental, spiritual, and even physical and emotional at a place where it's at peace, no matter what you do or no matter what goes on around me. Yes, we're human. Sometimes we're going to have, issues and stuff like that. But that is so important. So I want to kind of go into compassion fatigue. How can self-care prevent burnout and compassion fatigue? But can you, Dr. Mary, explain to me what is compassion fatigue?
Compassion fatigue is the impact of emotional, physical, and psychological your health as it pertains to working with people who are in trauma events. And this is mostly people in the helping profession. When we're thinking of policemen and nurses, doctors, psychologists, people who deal with trauma every day. What does that look like at the end of the day for those people who are working with those type of traumatic events? What kind of impact is it having on you emotionally, physically, and psychologically? And people, and what really interested me in developing a boot camp for women to help teach them about this was dealing with nurses in 2020. Mm-hmm. What I found was a lot of nurses were dealing with compassion fatigue after they had been sent to New York on deployment. These are military nurses who were sent to New York for deployments to work in hospitals. And when they came back after the short-term deployments, they were burnt out. Mm-hmm. They were mentally, emotionally, psychologically, mm-hmm. and physically just spent. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it impacted their families. It impacted their mental and emotional wellness. Mm-hmm. And it also impacted their careers. A lot of the nurses end up leaving the military because it was just too much. It was too much trauma. And how do we disassociate? And how do we, as a mental health professional, how do I unplug at the end of the day after dealing with people, sitting in people's trauma all day, walking with people through traumatic experiences? Well, I have a dump tank. Call my husband. And he does the check-ins. He does the check-ins with me. Are you okay? Okay, I really just need to get this off my chest for today. Let me say these things. Let me get this out. And then my mental health care packet includes spending time with my girlfriend. Alicia is my best friend and business partner. And we do those check-ins. Mm-hmm. Girl, is my slip showing? Is my hair out of order? Do I look like I'm thriving and surviving, or does it look like I'm going under? Just having those accountability partners to help you with those check-ins so that you can know when you're well and when you're not well.
Yeah.
Wow. This is so interesting. And you have to have a partner like that you can bounce things off. They know you, you know them. And even though she said, no, your hair is messed up, girl. You might want to do that. and you won't get mad because that's your friend. Right. She's gonna tell you.
Right.
So and the same way with Dr. Arch, I'm talking about Herman. That's my buddy, and I can run anything by him, and he can run anything by me. And he know he's gonna get I'm gonna get the right answer, not that what I want to hear, but the correct answer how things are. You know what? This is so fascinating. When I get back from the break, I want to talk about this boot camp that you guys got going on. I'm excited to hear about that. And I tell you, listeners and viewers out there, if you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is just go to the comments, ask any question that you might have, or pick up the phone, dial 1-866-577-2473. Remember, it's your life, and we'll be back shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity. Coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley. The James.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, and wow, it's just such a fascinating conversation that we're having. I know you sitting back and listening to it. I know you probably in your office and you probably shaking your head and scratching it because you know what these women are talking about. They're telling the truth, and everybody needs self-care in whatever perspective that might mean. In order, just like I said, balance, equilibrium. I mean, mind, body, and soul. I mean, we gotta have some balance here. And primary, our listeners and viewers, we talking about self-care from a mental, emotional perspective, and primarily about women today. And Dr. Mary and Alicia here, they got this camp coming up real soon, and I want to know about it. And I want you to know about it as well. So Dr. Mary, can you tell us, our viewers and our listeners, a little bit about the camp that retreat or however, whatever you want to phrase that, and tell them the purpose of it and why they need to understand that they need to start attending these as well.
Okay, James, what I'm going to do is first just give a little bit of my heartbeat of why I even developed this boot camp. Then I'm going to let Alicia take over all the PR information.
Okay.
So in clinic, I noticed that I had been dealing with a plethora of women who were emotionally, psychologically, physically traumatized or abused. And these women had been in relationships, repeated domestic relationships, repeated patterns of self-harming behaviors that brought me to asking a question: when did you stop loving yourself? And that just really sparked the idea of the self-care, self-love, and self-respect boot camp. When I started asking women, do you love yourself? And they couldn't come up with an answer. You know, I love my job, I love my children, I love my family, I love my spouse, I love the things that I'm doing every day, I love my church. We even had women who were traumatized in church, but had no connectivity to self. As we prepped a little earlier with Dr. Michelle, these emotions come from within, these healthy emotions of feelings of self. So I started to teach women to love themselves. And I looked at your commercial, Dr. James, and I saw that one of your components was, you've got to love yourself. You know, you've got to put yourself first, because if you don't love you, you're not going to love anybody else. And you're not going to be able to take care of those things. So also just to dispel some of the myths associated with what self-care is. I don't want to take people on a $5,000 trip to sit in a sauna or a spa, and then they go home and they're still the same person. I wanted to do something with women to empower them to know that they have to take care of themselves when they leave this place. You can't take a spa home with you. You can't take a nail experience or a hair experience home with you, but you can take those feelings that you develop from within your own soul, within your own core, of how a healthy sense of self. And it started with that one simple question: do you love yourself? And when they couldn't answer that question, Dr. James, that's when God dropped that nugget in my spirit. Take them away, embrace them, and give them a space to get away from all the noise, to get away from all the work, the home, the family, get away from everything that they feel that they needed to be a part of on a daily basis, and just concentrate on themselves.
And the good part about it is the boot camp is just that. It's a boot camp. It's an intense training that's going to deal with all the components of the self-care wheel. You know, our physical, social, emotional, psychological, that wellness, that everything, the total woman is being spoken to, and we're being trained in that. The good part about it is, you know, it's a 2.5 day unplug, taking that opportunity to focus on you. Here's one thing that's good about it. Women can come from all over the world, which they are, and that plugging in sometimes to yourself. For some people, it's not about even bringing their close loved ones with them. Some people will, but for some people, they're going to need that unplug from even that codependency, that trauma bonding. So the boot camp gives you an opportunity to experience it the way you want. It's in budget. It's $3.99 all inclusive. We're going to be in the beautiful Gulf Shores, Alabama, Thursday, September 14th through Saturday, the 16th. And there's so much training of mental, emotional, and spiritual self-care, because the spiritual aspects of it are so important. As Dr. Mary said, it's going to teach the women to create an environment that they don't need a vacation from on a day-to-day basis. So this is a training women want to plug into, get the information, contact us, and the landing page is westfloridacs.com, westfloridacs.com, and it will allow you to click on the Bootcamp 4, and all the registration information is there. But we're so excited about the women coming for this intimate experience. It's not a conference where you're going to come and there are going to be 500 women. Even for those who have a little problems with large groups, it's a small setting. It's a mental health setting. It's a mental wellness setting. And it will give you the tools that you need in beautiful nature, and the opportunity to just love on you. So that motto, self-love, self-care, self-respect, we are so excited about what this is going to bring for women in the community and in the nation.
I believe this is so amazing. And did you say $3.99, not $3,000?
$3.99.
$3.99, not free 99. $3.99.
No. I thought you know, like that's something like that, like 3,999, something like that. No. That sounds so fascinating. What are some of the things, if you can talk about it, that women, if they decide that, hey, I want to go there, that they're going to be doing? I mean,
Yeah, so there's going to be large math sessions, breakout. There's going to be music. There's going to be comedy. There's going to be nature trails. You can go bicycling. There are beach excursions. And then there are different workshops and hot topics, that teach us about loving ourselves, respecting ourselves. Even fitness opportunities are available during the boot camp that Dr. has so strategically planned. And then, of course, her clinical teachings and the different things that will come from the presenters from a workshop perspective. I think that women can get also that moment of rest to get in, they're bunkered and just have that common space where, when they lay out, it's like, oh, this is for me. So that's what women can expect. They can expect the groove, the moves, totality of woman being spoken to, mind, body, and spirit. All of us is going to be doing at the boot camp.
Wow. So how long did it take this boot camp to come into place? Like, what feedback or what tools or resources did you use to put all this together to make it possible?
Doing that self-exploration and finding the things that I needed. What is it that I would need to get away, to unplug, to be in an environment that I know nobody, I'm not familiar with anyone there, to get in contact with me. And what we did, we went out and we found this location, and we call it glamping, Dr. Michelle, because it is a boot camp. And what we do, we are sleeping in a hotel quality dorm. It is a dorm environment, but it is so nice. And I would never put anyone in a place that was not hotel quality. And I think about how we've had these military boot camp experiences. We do some of the same things. You remember, Dr. Cooley, it hadn't been that long when you went to boot camp, how the drill instructors would get up and they would say, reveille, get up, it's time to get up, Well, we do the same thing, only we started on a softer pace. We start with doing your morning affirmations. I am loved. I am accepted. I am enough. I can do all things. And we reiterate these positive reinforcements so that it gets into their psyche until they actually get it. They leave there, like I said, they don't leave with a lips, hips, and tips experience. They leave with that self-confidence, that positive regard, that sense of I can do all things. I got it. I'm a woman, and I can be everything that I need to be to help me first, and then my craft.
Wow, we're down to the last minute. Can you tell these women how they can be part of this if they wanted to? 30 seconds or less.
Sure. You can register right now. Go to westfloridacs.com. Click on the bootcamp landing page. You can also find West Florida Counseling Services on Facebook. And there's a link page there for the event, Self-Care Bootcamp 4. And contact us. My number is 850-982-6851.
Well, you all are absolutely fantastic. Not just because I know you, I mean, but the thing that you all are doing is absolutely great. And I want to thank you all so much for taking the time to come on the show today. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another great show. I'd like to thank my viewers and listeners for always tuning in to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Always dream big, think big, and be big at everything that you do. It's your life. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life, Dr. James Cooley.
Thanks for joining us for the James Cooley Show. It's your life. To learn more about Dr. James Cooley and how you can support the show or become a guest, visit CooleyFoundation.org. Join James for more motivation and inspiration to help you become equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. This has been It's Your Life with Dr. James Cooley, where you learn how to dream big, think big, and be big in everything you do.
It's Your Life is sponsored by James J.C.